Hey guys, well, we just picked up this 08 Yukon Denali that had some wheels that we don't care for on it. 305 45 22-inch tall tires, and let's just say that they were rubbing everywhere. It was a 9-inch wide wheel with a bunch of backspace, so the scrub radius wasn't that bad, but I had these wheels and tires left over from another Denali project. I knew that these had a lot less backspace, so the scrub radius was going to be a little bit farther out. So long story short, the tires that were on it were rubbing pretty much everywhere, so I knew that I had to do some modifications to the inner fender and to the running boards. So I looked at adjusting the running boards front to back. There's some Allen heads in there where you can slide it fore and aft. Unfortunately, the rears to me were as far back as I would want them to go anyways. I already thought that they looked kind of ugly protruding into the fender well there. So I decided to modify them. So not only did we do the NorCal mod, or at least partially the NorCal mod. Can't really do a whole bunch on these because the AC lines are right there, so I gained about an inch right back in there. But I also modified up here too, so you can see where the other ones were rubbing. These ones, even though it's got an inch more scrub radius and a little bit more overall diameter, I actually do not have a problem pretty much anywhere. So I'm gonna walk you through how to take 2 inches off of a OEM running board. So passenger side, I had already done. This was kind of like the feeler side. So this one is already done, shortened 2 inches. As you can see, it is behind the body line and almost behind the body mount. Plenty of clearance now. Just kind of followed the same basic line, but we'll show you how I cut this thing apart and made it right. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is just measure and see how much of the running board you want to actually take off. I decided on 2 inches. That was actually going to push the running board back far enough behind not only a modified fender, but even a little bit further. I'm a little bit OCD, so I might end up modifying the back to match, even though there's no tire clearance issues back there, but I'm a little OCD like that. First things first, I guess. Let's show you how to get this thing removed from the base plate. Oh. Why do you guys always do this when I'm on the creeper? Opportunists. Okay, sorry about that. Alright, first things first. A couple screws that have to be undone that hold the end cap on. These 3 right here, and those 2 there. Just did a Phillips, and I'll get those taken off. Alright, so the end piece is loose. 2 little flaps there. But this is where we begin cutting. So this little strip here is connected. You can kind of see it there. Just that small little 1/2-inch strip right there. So take a little X-Acto knife and cut that right there. Alright, what I'm going to do is just put a little flathead in here just to get a little separation and just cut right along that edge. It's pretty thick, so just take your time. Unlike that. Oop. I think I felt the pop that time. Yep, there we go. So now you got a little separation there. So now we'll move up to here. On this one, same thing. Only you're gonna wanna go right across this edge here, all the way through. Obviously this one's gonna take a little bit longer, same thickness, all the way through, but you don't wanna go up against this edge here because you're gonna, once you trim it all back, you're gonna have this gap here afterwards, so you need to have something to lay this new edge up against. So yeah, just right across there. I'm just gonna get a little not very deep cut started. A little easier for the blade to follow an existing cut than it is to make a whole new one. Again, this piece is pretty thick. It'll take some work to get there. Just round that corner just a little bit. Oh, yeah, I think we're getting some separation now. Okay, so the end cap is now separated. So now it's just a standalone end cap that we can play around with, modify as we desire. So like I said, I already did the other side, and I went with 2 inches. There's certainly some variable there if you want to do less or more. Just take into account of how much space you want to gain. Alright, made the full mark now. I'm going to use my reciprocating saw and make our cut. Easy part's done. Okay, I guess this is where some of this is up to you. I took 2 inches off the running board. So on this, what I'm going to do is take 2 inches off as well. So I'm literally just going to follow this line, go out 2 inches, and follow that all the way down. I'm going to do something slightly different on the bottom though. Again, this is completely up to how you want to do it. When you slide this back over here, you can kind of look and see some options. I originally had cut a line here, again on the other side, a line here up to 2 inches, cut it back. So that way the whole thing could slide over. This edge here would then slide in 2 inches. And honestly, I didn't like the way that it looked, so I ended up just doing a clean 2 inches all the way to here. But underneath, I didn't quite go 2 inches here. So what ends up happening is this angle here is a little bit more pronounced. So again, totally up to you on how you want to do it. You could certainly just follow the 2 inches and have the same line. You could put a little zigzag here. I don't think it really matters, as long as you've got some of this left to be able to attach back underneath. So I'll make some marks on here and get to cutting. Okay, now I made some marks on it and we're going to start cutting. So 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches all the way to this corner. After that corner is where it goes down to maybe 1.5 inches on that outer edge, and then I just straighten off the bottom flap there. forgot to mention, start a little bit behind the line, creep your way up on it. You don't want to go too far and have to replace this. Go turn it back now. Alright, pretty close on the line. I'm just going to take a regular file. Just try to smooth it out a little bit. Maybe even round this edge a little. The more time you spend here, the better off it'll look on the truck. Alright, got the edge straight. Cleaned inside and out. I can spend a little more time here with the file, but you get the gist. What I wanted to show is those three little ribs in there, these guys here, those do need to be removed, and I'll show you why. So when you lay this guy back up here and you see how you've got this gap here, those ribs are keeping it from coming back up flush. So we're going to take those guys out. But there is one more little rib we got to remove, and that is this guy here. Same thing there, it just will not sit down flat at the back there. So we need to close that gap. All right, here we go. So basically the point is not going right up against the lip, but a little bit past it. So right about there. Should be nice and flush all the way around. So see, you got a little bit of play there. So all I'm going to try to do is just even it up. I guess technically you could, you know, trim it to where this literally sits flush up against it, but I wanted to have a little dimension there just because this lip, as it comes around, just kind of follow that. Again, I could spend some more time with the file and really making that clean. That portion of it you can really spend some time on if you so desire. So hopping underneath here, get my creeper to work. So I was able to reuse those two holes. So factory screws, we'll go right back in those. So I'm just going to pull it tight and put those in there. As you're tightening these, just pay attention to your gap here. So I'm just going to pull that out just a tiny bit. Let's see here. Let's try that again. Oh yeah. All right. Again, just reusing two factory screws here. All right, well, I realized that the lighting was pretty bad the last time I tried to shoot this. So now this one's finished, but this aluminum edge here is where we're going to be drilling for these two guys. So this flap, and just lift it up and you'll see right where that'll need to go. But yeah, there's a nice thick aluminum piece there to go right to. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm actually going to use self-tappers, but I'm just going to put a little pre-hole in there just to not have to sit here so long with the self-tap. Self-tappers, I'm going to run a little small flat washer just to capture more of the plastic. Let's go. One down. Something's bound to go wrong. I'd like to say this went too easy, but I don't want to jinx it. Self-tappers are in there. Got a nice close gap. And victory. So now the running board is behind that inner fender, even though that inner fender is slightly modded. Again, I didn't go as far as what the NorCal mod claims, mainly because there's AC lines on the other side, so I started there, and you really can't go that far back. It is an SUV, not a truck, so yeah, it's got the rear AC in it, but so yeah, now I don't have to worry about the tires hitting anymore.